Disney is known for being many things. An entertainment empire, a powerhouse of innovation, or more recently, a kingdom in ruins and the squandered dream of a brilliant man. But they are all of them wrong, because what Disney truly is in this moment is terrified. The fear coming off of Disney right now is so thick you could spread it on bread. The proof is in the extensive rewrites and reshoots that pretty much every Disney creation is having to undergo right now, whether it's Marvel or Pixar or Lucasfilm. But then there was that Vulture piece that came out and quoted an anonymous crew member about how Disney was trying to avoid saying or displaying anything that could be remotely considered offensive to everyday Americans, and pretty much confirmed that Disney was jumping at shadows. Shadows that are U-shaped. Why is it scared of you? Because it dug too greedily and too deep into a realm it never should have stepped foot in. Politics. You don't get involved in politics. In mid-February, Vulture published its piece that confirmed a lot of people's suspicions that Disney was like a dog during a thunderstorm, scared and looking for a closet to hide in. At least that's what my dog does. The article shows how Disney had burned way too many bridges with its fans over the course of the years through its over-the-top political messaging and its wokeness infused into everything it created. In particular, it focused on Blacked in America, Anthony Mackie, who went overseas to promote the film and said that of all the things that Captain America should represent, America shouldn't be one of them.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
That doesn't make any fucking sense!
Why do celebrities think it's okay to go overseas to say dumb stuff about America? Like, dude, it didn't work for the Dixie Chicks. Why would it work for you? The article goes on to quote a cast member who worked on the Captain America film. This source said that audiences didn't respond to test screenings as the film might have been too political, saying Harrison Ford's President Ross reads as an allusion to a certain orange man. The phrase becomes kind of fascist was thrown in there, but the relevant bit was when this source said, quote, I think Disney was realizing, hey, we've been bleeding out a while. Let's try not to piss off our core fan base any more than we have been over the last couple of years. They know you're going to piss off a lot of your audience that way. I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, for the better part of a decade, Disney has been rolling out message-first flops that really just pissed audiences off, brought in very little to no money, and really ruined its reputation. For the longest time, Disney was more than happy to flaunt its new woke direction, giving us race-swapped remakes with so much girl power infused in that stories became predictable and hollow. They were more focused on making the Force female and forcing representation, diversity, and inclusion without actually producing meaningful storylines and characters. Disney was another company who had original sin, and it needed to work to make up for its problematic history because
it's no longer 1937.
In reality, Disney got to that point because, like every other country in the Western world, it was mainlining ESG dollars.
Environmental, social, and governance, also called ESG, to ensure accountability and systems to manage a corporation's impact, such as its carbon footprint or efforts towards diversity and inclusion.
They were more than happy to flaunt their confidence in their new woke direction because doing so pleased their corporate investors such as Vanguard or BlackRock. Vanguard owns about 8.5% of Disney's stock, while BlackRock owns over 7%, so they have a hefty influence in whatever Disney does. And so everything started heading into socially responsible territory, whether it was movies or television. They even started putting up screens that talked about how the movies they made depicted people in offensive ways, saying, these stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. I don't get it. What's the issue? I love the fact that despite it being wrong, Disney wasn't about to lose subscribers over not having its classics to stream. When this info was last checked in 2019, Disney Classics made up 22% of Disney's streamed content. Yeah, these are older numbers, but for some reason, Disney hasn't exactly been forthcoming with accurate streaming data lately. I wonder why.
People have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I'm frankly into it. No.
Disney was all in on its diversity and inclusion approach to filmmaking, even going so far as to create a department called Reimagine Tomorrow in 2021, which was Disney's DEI branch. Its entire purpose was to push identity-based representation and social activism. Moreover, its job was to make sure that Disney was operating on an identity-based structure, not merit or talent. I'm pretty sure that you can already see where this is going. Disney employees were trained to consider privilege, racial identity, or inclusivity when it came to any creative decision making.
And we don't want to just assume because someone might be in our interpretation, maybe presenting as female, that they may not want to be called princess. So let's think differently about how do we really engage with our guests in a meaningful and inclusive way that makes it magical and memorable for everyone.
As you've probably pieced together by now, Reimagine Tomorrow is one of the core reasons Disney began to erode from within. All those god-awful, message-laden television shows and movies that have come out lately are, in large part, thanks to Reimagine Tomorrow. But Reimagine Tomorrow would really start getting people's attention when Disney executive producer LaToya Raveneau talked about her not at all secret gay agenda during an interstitial.
Our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of them. But I just was no one would stop me.
Around that time, Disney was being spanked relentlessly for opposing the parent-approved Parental Rights and Education bill in Florida, which Disney openly condemned, sparking a fight between it and Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis. And Disney got their ass beat. Disney lost its tax haven, the Reedy Creek Improvement District, over the fight, but it just got so much worse from there. Fires kept popping up and Disney couldn't put them out fast enough. Theme park attendance declined, stocks tanked, and Disney sacrificed CEO Bob Chapek on the altar in front of raging stockholders, hoping it would stop the chaos. And then it all came to a head in October of 2023 when Disney would get the hardest public bitch slap it had ever received in modern history.
But then Kathleen Kennedy's just fuck it, make it more lame. And everyone in town is no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy is all put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more fucking lame. And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all no, what's going on with my stocks? No, Kathleen Kennedy.
Matt Stone and Trey Parker's strike on Disney's wokeness was brutal. It's probably one of the worst PR hits Disney has taken in years. Because while the fight with Florida Republicans definitely damaged it, it's easy to ignore political criticism when it's your side being criticized. But South Park made this apolitical. Both sides of the aisle were mocking Disney for its wokeness at this point. I mean, you couldn't bring up Kathleen Kennedy in conversation without hearing,
put a chicken in and make her name it gay!
Disney was cooked, and Iger knew it. Moreover, he knew why. In November of 2023, Iger admitted that Disney's creators, quote, lost sight of entertainment and focused too much on messaging while on stage at the New York Times Dealbook Summit. And it's around that time that Disney did a hard scramble to try to unfuck a lot of their upcoming releases. Soon, everything was getting extensive rewrites and reshoots. The fear that they had gone too far was clearly present in the executive branch, and word had come down from on high that they needed to start modifying television and movie shows to be less reimagined for tomorrow. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was reportedly supposed to be more focused on Janet Van Dyne and her abilities from the quantum realm. The movie wrapped filming in 2021, but in 2023, literally a month before release, Paul Rudd was spotted reshooting scenes, including a new ending. The rumor was that it was supposed to be more female-focused, but then it pivoted in the 11th hour to focusing more on Scott being a father to.
It's never too late to stop being a dick.
That's brilliant. Brilliant writing. Oh my god. The film would suffer what a lot of Disney movies did. Lots of rewrites and reshoots after the movies were already completed, leading to them feeling disjointed and rushed. And two films really stand out here. The first was the aforementioned Captain America: Brave New World, which was apparently an entirely different movie before it got to the end product. And I really want to make sure that the true meaning of this Variety article that I mentioned earlier doesn't get past you here. This cannot be understated. You have Disney so terrified that you will perceive a message within one of its movies that it will spend millions and millions of dollars to destroy it just in case. They would rather knowingly release a bad movie than make you angry on an ideological level. Which brings me to my second but much larger example, the upcoming live-action Snow White film. This is a movie that Disney is scared so shitless about that it's undergone ungodly amounts of rewrites and reshoots and was even pushed back an entire year. Now, I've already made a video about the troubled Snow White production and how Disney just doesn't understand who Snow White is. I'll link it in the description, and you should see a title card popping up right about now. Go watch that video after this one. But I'll reiterate that lead actress Rachel Zegler has left such a bad taste in the mouths of potential audiences everywhere because of how insufferable and bratty she has been about this film. Zegler loved to bash the 1937 Snow White film, effectively insinuating that the original Snow White was weak and problematic. She bragged often that she and the writers had made a Snow White that was more empowered, not understanding where the original Snow White's power actually lay. The film is set to release on March 21st, but despite all the fixes, the forecast ain't looking good for this film. It's estimated to have racked up about a $300 million plus production cost. That's not including marketing, so it's going to have to make around $500 million just to break even, and that's not looking likely. As of right now, the Snow White trailer sits at 1.5 million dislikes to 51,000 likes. And if that doesn't do it for you, Disney released a snippet of its new original song for Snow White, Waiting on a Wish, and it only has 24,000 views. Never mind the 3.4 thousand dislikes to 1.4 thousand likes. No one cares about this film. And maybe that's what Disney ultimately wants for this Snow White movie. Not that you'll hate it, but that you ultimately not go to see it. Marketing has been tepid for the movie since 2024, with very few things to hype it up. There doesn't seem to be a flood of ads on television or online. There was no Super Bowl ad. And the only time I really ever saw the film promoted in a major space was Zegler and Godot walking out on the Oscar stage. And this is really strange when you stop to think about it. It is a major Disney release, and they're not really trying to hype it up with ads or anything. And yeah, less hype means fewer butts in seats, but I think that right now, Disney is less terrified of losing money and more terrified of losing your goodwill. Yeah, fewer people will see the movie, but that means that fewer people will be leaving a major Disney production with a bad taste in their mouth. Hi, Editing Brandon here. I haven't shaved in days. While I was making this video, they canceled the London premiere of the Snow White movie, kind of giving my theory that they actually don't want you to see it a lot of meat. It turns out that they're trying to get this to fly as far under the radar as they possibly can, so that you won't hate them by the time you get out of the theater from seeing this monstrosity. Okay, back to the video. I mean, hate sticks. Just ask the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. I mean, I think they sent Paul Feig to Gitmo for that one. I actually haven't seen him since. But this is the situation that Disney has put itself in. It's having to endure itself. For too long, it thought it had some sort of moral and fiduciary obligation to push ideological nonsense on us that we clearly didn't want. You can still see this unfolding on Disney Plus, where woke-laden shows like The Acolyte are made, hyped up, released, and then canceled soon after.
We were on the brink of extinction.
Disney trained us to expect message-first storytelling from it, and in so doing, trained us to shrug off its offerings. Now, given Disney is trying to turn things around, and we very well might be seeing the tail end of its woke era. All of these rewrites and reshoots are Disney attempting to lessen the blow against itself, so when it finally shakes itself free, it'll at least have some goodwill left to build on. And it seems, at least at this point, that they definitely are trying to do that. For instance, Daredevil Born Again is actually good. So far. I feel like that's a caveat I need to add, because it's Disney. As it stands, the show is apparently free of any messaging that dips into current-day bullshit and relies on solid characters and competent writing. What a concept. But this wouldn't have happened if you didn't have Disney shaking in its boots, which I have a feeling it will be both during and after the release of the new Snow White movie. Maybe Snow White will quietly drop, with silence from Zegler, and it will get bashed by all the usual suspects and ignored by the general population. Disney will take the blow, but not one hard enough to leave a lasting scar. Meanwhile, more current offerings like Daredevil Born Again will get all the hype and kind of signify that Disney is turning a corner. And that would begin generating something that Disney hasn't had for a long time.
Hope.
Brother,
But as it stands, they're cowering. They're currently shivering in the dark, hoping that apathy wins the day. It's a wounded forest creature, praying that you, the beast that's been mauling it all this time, passes by uncaring. They would rather endure your yawn than your teeth. Disney is terrified, and it's terrified of you. At every attempt to introduce the message, you've punished Disney and destroyed its reputation. It's so scared that you'll keep doing that it has spent millions and millions of dollars to reverse course in hopes that it can fix the problem as best as it can. Disney's hubris was such that it thought that it was a too big to fail god of an empire, and you proved that a god could bleed. And you made it bleed a lot. But what do you think? Do you think that Disney can turn the steamboat around and become a juggernaut of entertainment once again? Or do you think that it's going to be scrambling in the dark to make up for what it's done for years to come? Let me know in the comments. Later.
Just consume product.
Squawk, no.
Get excited for next products.
Squawk.